Things get cancelled all the time. That meeting you weren't looking forward to got cancelled because people couldn't coordinate their schedules. You cancel an order after you change your mind and don't want that item anymore. A TV show gets cancelled when it doesn't bring in the good ratings. When something is cancelled, it goes away, right? But in the latest use of the word, you can cancel people. In particular, celebrities, politicians, or anyone who takes up space in the public consciousness. To cancel someone, usually a celebrity or other well known figure, means to stop giving support to that person. The act of cancelling could entail boycotting an actor's movie or no longer reading or promoting a writer's work. The reason for cancellation can vary, but it usually is due to the person in question having expressed an objectionable opinion or having conducted themselves in a way that is unacceptable, so that continuing to patronize that person's work leaves a bitter taste. We have seen the rise of cancel culture in our country during the last few months. But has the cancel culture gone too far? Has cancel culture turned toxic? We're going to talk about this on the show today. Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I am joined by Garima. She is a budding entrepreneur and the host of one of my favorite pop culture podcasts, Popkast with Garima. Hello, Garima. Welcome to the show.
Hi, this is so good. I was enjoying your little monologue and it was like so well written. So, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Garima. And congratulations to you too on the announcement of your latest venture, Podcash. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. So, anybody who doesn't know what podcast is, and if you are a budding podcaster or if your friends are one, Podcast is essentially a marketplace which will have podcasters. It's a community of podcasters, guests, and advertisers. So, the whole idea is to make your podcast a self sustained podcast. And a lot of, I mean, if you go on Google, the most searched top query is how to monetize your podcast. So, we try to, of course, solve that problem of how you can make your podcast self-sustained, but also your main problem of booking your guests or how to get in touch with them, how to contact them. So you can go log on to podcast.in. We've done the soft launch right now, so it's in beta, and you guys can sign up. We will soon be coming up with the products. So yes, that's really exciting. I think the whole idea is to democratize podcasting as an industry also, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great idea. When I initially heard about this on the World Podcast Day, so I was really interested, and I was, I guess, one of the earliest member who signed up on your website. So, guys, definitely go check out podcast.in and sign up for their launch because I'm sure a lot of good things are coming up on this platform.
Yay.
So, Garima, I mean, apart from this, to our audience, to our socially desi audience, why don't you tell something about you, your journey into podcasting, and your life before starting your own podcast?
Wow, that's a lot of questions in one go. Let me quickly go through them one by one. So, about myself, okay. My name is Garima. I'm 26 years old now, and I have no shame in admitting because I don't know why do girls don't like telling their age and they just try to dodge it some way. It's really funny. But yes, that's part of who I am. And before I started my podcast, I was stuck in a 9 to 5 mundane job. Yes, if you're hearing this and if you are a 9 to 5 job, this is universe's sign of telling you to probably chase your dreams first rather than making all the money for the company that you are working for right now. That's what I was doing. I was killing it at work. I was like upwards of my revenue, and I was doing great stuff, but I was not happy because I always knew I had a creative side to myself. I did my first
Mm-hmm.
radio show when I was studying in my college. It was for a community radio, and I was 17 years old. So I started this radio show called Mera Gana Kab Aayega, which was a request-based program show. And that's how my interest for music comes in, which is also pretty evident in my podcast, because I have like a huge chunk divided to discovering music and exploring music, which is the Popkast playlist. But
Yeah.
I think I first got confident with mic, as an equipment, and I don't think I ever had stage fright. Like I would love to go on the stage and explore, like, what are the different things that I can do? Am I good at public speaking? Can I act? Can I do theater? And like the stage was really, it was like a magnetic force for me always. So that was never a problem for me. But of course, how our conditioning teaches us that the best way is you get into the best college, then you get into, for me, it was Jamia. I did my master's in mass communication from Jamia Millia Islamia, and which was like a dream. So, but of how they have always taught us that the college will give you a placement and then you go
Yeah.
take up that placement because it's the most best decision and the most certain lucrative decision that you choose to do.
So true.
So I went ahead. I got the job. I shifted to Bombay from Delhi. I took up this job, and I was a communications consultant,
Okay.
and I was working with Tata Sons, which is the parent company of the Tata Group. And I was sitting in the same building where Mr. Ratan Tata would sit, where Mr. Cyrus Mistry would sit, and all the strategic and important decisions about the Tata Group were made. So this was like pretty heavy for somebody who learned radio, TV, and film, and all of the creative things that I wanted to do. And I ended up with a desk job. And I was like, okay, this is not what I want to do. And then a year later, I left the job, of course, learning a lot of things. I think I really believe whatever you do in your life, even if they're bad decisions, they really are there to teach you out something and to pave the way for something that's eventually going to happen to you.
So true.
So if I have to count back, I think I took a lot of key takeaways from my job at Tata. Then I moved on to Bombay Times, where I was assistant manager Bollywood, and I was handling music as a section. In fact, I started music as a vertical for them, and it went great again because of my interest in music. Like I loved speaking to these artists and discovering new music pieces, and it was like a super thrill for me. But I was like, okay, this is not what I want to do. Now what? But I always knew I had to do something. I was one of those girls, I remember, like, I started watching NDTV Good Times, VH1, and, MTV, like a very rebellious child, like an FTV also. Like, my father would always be like, what are you watching these, half-clothed girls walking the ramp and, like, all of that? He would get really scandalized because I come from a very small town in Rajasthan. And my family wasn't so progressive at that time. So he would like totally get like, oh, okay. But then I think I would always like stand up in front of the mirror and I would always try to act like a host. And I would always be like, okay, when I host somebody, these are the questions I'm going to ask. If somebody asks me, this is what my answer is going to be. And I was always like prepared for my Oscar moment. Which never, of course, happened. But I think I love asking people, and then people asking me something, and this whole conversation, the dialogue, that really thrilled me. And then Popcast started.
Okay.
It was Sunday afternoon when I was like, okay, let's do something. I was on my computer. I had to make a deck. I had to make a presentation for a client. And I made a presentation for myself, which was about what I'm going to do. And I literally started with the first slide, which is like, okay, this is going to be the name of my podcast. This is what will come. And, this is the segments. These are the segments that I will probably have. I would like to call these guests. These are my wish list people. And I made like this, I think 10 to 15 slide presentation just about the podcast.
But why podcast?
Because I was already associated with radio, right? And the thrill of listening to my own voice was exhilarating. Like I once remember the show was a deferred show, the one that I was doing on radio. So it was not a live show. So I once remember that I was living in hostel that time, and we would get an outing once a week only for 1 hour. So in that 1 hour, we had to do like everything. I know it sounds very primitive because I think now everybody gets to live life as per their own terms. But yeah, so in that 1 hour, I was going and I was running my errands. And you won't believe, I was actually walking down the street and there was this little sonar ka shop,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like this old guy who would do piercing and had like these trinkets and little jewelry kind of stuff. और उसके रेडियो पे he was listening to my show. Okay.
Oh.
And I was like, I can hear myself, and this is like a familiar sound, and what is happening, I don't know. And I went and I was like, oh my God, he's listening to me. And that moment, that moment, I was like, and then I spoke to that guy. I was like, "Ha, matlab namaste," or you know, आपको या क्या सुन रहे हो? And I tried to be really over smart, and I was like, do you know who's this person? And then he was like, हाँ मैं सुनता हूँ ये गरिमा है और ये अपना ये मेरा गाना कब आएगा रोज शाम को 4 से 5 आता है. And I was like, wow, like, you know, that the loop being completed of me trying to communicate something and it goes out to the person who's listening it and me figuring out who's listening. I think that was amazing.
That would have been a wonderful feeling for you.
Oh, it was such a validating feeling. No amount of validation that I get on social media is compared to this because I mean, I've just started hating social media so much, and Instagram in particular. I think it's the place for the shittiest content in the world. I'm not even kidding. I loathe Instagram now. And I think um, even though I put up stories and even though I put up posts, it just to be in the rut. Trust me, I might just
Mm.
one day abandon my Instagram because after watching The Social Dilemma, and even before that, also, I think I'm like not really an Instagram person, and which is why I never went the route of being an influencer.
Yeah, that word is really, somehow it creates that a weird feeling inside me.
Yeah, it also creates a bubble for the person
Yeah,
who's the influencer himself and for the people who are following. Because if you see, Instagram is what just bubbles, different people following different people, and you have a certain set of followers that I might not just be aware of. So we're all in our own bubble.
so
Um,
true.
So, which is why I resorted to podcasting, and I was like, this is going to be like a value add for me because I treat podcast as a therapy. I mean, the fact that I can vent out so much, whatever I have gone through in my life, whatever conditioning I've been subjected to, whatever social issues that I've always been wanting to speak about. I could have never done that very flamboyantly, sitting in a nice dress and with a lot of makeup on, with no offense, but like how many good activists do you often come on Instagram? It's like a plethora of fashion, beauty, lifestyle, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me to put forward my voice, I thought podcasting is a great way of making yourself audible to people and of raising a voice. I think for conversations that really matter. And with Popcast also, I want it to be fun for people who are listening it because not everybody will give you their attention for like 20-30 minutes of their day, because it's a lot to ask from, which is why Instagram is so famous and so snackable because of its inherent nature of just having 1 minute content pieces. Um, so yeah.
I mean, yeah, even I believe that, see, for podcasts, what I like about podcasting is that you don't need the 100% attention of the user. At the end of the day, if you're listening to my podcast, you can always do your other chores and just go around your house listening to the podcast without having to actually invest your complete time and attention to my podcast and what I'm doing, which is very different when it comes to YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, podcasts are a passive consumption platform. But having said that, it's also a consented consumption, what you're doing. If somebody has tuned into your podcast, they're very well aware of, they want to listen to Anurag. They want to listen to what's next on Socially Desi. And, who are they talking to next? So I think the whole fact that somebody consciously wants to learn something and gives you their 10, 15, 20 minutes to listen to something productive is great. Like you have somebody's undivided attention rather than a scrolling spree or rather than a scrolling marathon that everybody's just running for.
So true. And at the end of the day, podcasts are giving you more value than any of the, TNAs that you see on Instagram.
And I think it's really about time. It'll, and trust me, like we're on the way of when people will realize that when they spend their valuable time on social media, what is the value that they're getting, in return? I think people are now very smart. They want to invest in skills or in consuming content which really adds value to them.
True.
I think we're way past the meme culture and just scrolling for fun. I think people are now really looking for something worth their while.
So true, so true. Yeah, I mean, these days, even I see a shift in this whole scenario where earlier, when the whole lockdown started, people started binge watching things and they would just spend hours and hours on social media trying to just consume whatever they can and, just following new people, trying to figure out what they want to follow next, see next, watch next, whatever. But now, I guess, yes, you have rightly said that people are now becoming more conscious and
Right.
they are understanding that their time is important because at the end of the day, even if you're working from home, you're still working. And see, social media consumption for entertainment and for just passing time for a bit is fine, but then when those minutes turns into hours, then it gets into your head and it's a fatigue.
It is. It
So
is.
it turns into mental fatigue.
I have literally OD'd on Instagram. I've used it till the time that I felt nauseous and my hands were frozen in that position. So yeah.
So true. I mean, this actually, every one of us has gone through that phase. Uh, I mean, yes, human beings, we learn slowly and we learn from our own mistakes. Nobody else can teach us.
Unfortunately or fortunately.
So true. So, Garima, wanted to get your attention on today's topic, which we are focusing on the toxic culture,
Right.
right? Which is the cancel culture, which is existing on social media, on other traditional media houses, and in public in general.
Right.
So, what I think is, in the earlier days, the only way for celebrities to reach out to their fans was through public experiences
Hmm.
or through interviews or any sort of a published magazines and tabloids or getting aired on some sort of a radio station or television show. But this whole allowed for a very limited interaction between celebrities and their fans,
Hmm.
and it was difficult for these kind of famous celebrities to really communicate social messages or get any sort of a feedback from the other side. So uh, the other side, which had a metaphoric wall,
Hmm.
right? But again, with the introduction of social media now into our lives, this wall has been demolished, and celebrities are accessible. They can communicate with their fans with ease and convenience through their social media handles and live streams or whatever. And now, the big problem now arises is that now fans also have access to the other side of the table, and they can express their admiration or disgrunt equally. And this has actually, what I feel, has given rise to the toxicity in the culture which we are seeing these days. What do you think about that?
Okay. So I think cancel culture on social media is like a sport.
Hmm.
People are it's actually like a legit sport because people are getting indulged in it so much, but the question is it healthy? What is the outcome that comes on somebody who's on the receiving end of getting cancelled, of being cancelled, and somebody who is canceling? And that understanding is very, very important. A lot of famous celebrities and influencers have gotten cancelled in the previous. A lot of famous people have cancelled out other famous people.
Yep.
So this has been like going on for like really long time. It's just that it gets amplified on social media. um, but of course the cancel culture, I think what it lacks is a collective empathy, because you have to put yourself in the place of the person you're set out to cancel. There's a lot of judgment which clearly outweighs justice, because
Mhm.
there are zero chances at redemption. um, you you're canceling that person. Let's get into the psychology of the person who's canceling. For example, if I indulge into writing a bad comment, or if I do not like something, my first thing is I should actually think again of what I'm going to write. Pause on the post or on the video for literally 2 seconds and ask yourself what you're going to post, which is calling out somebody. What if the other person would have done to
Yeah.
you? Okay. And most importantly, like, what you're pointing out, is it put out in a way which is seemingly constructive for the person so that it helps them better it next time? Or are you purely saying somebody, by writing unfollowing you? This is very common. Like, following you, or just writing something which is
Hmm.
like, you are a bad person, or you promote hatred, or you are this or you are that. So that is what the psyche of the person. A lot of times, of what I've gathered from my experiences of the people that I've spoken to. I spoke to Miss Malini on one of my podcasts, and I asked her, why do people write hate comments, and why do, like, is it for the thrill of,
For the heck
like,
of it, yeah.
is it like a cheap thrill? Is it like a dopamine kick to them? Or do they just do it because they have the privilege to be anonymous and nobody will ever get to know who's this person behind the screen? Um, so I think she said that most of them are doing it just to get your attention in one way or another. And if you feed people with that attention, they might just stop it at once. But the main problem is in how, like, if you have to go to the tea of the problem, I think it's just that we have to be more empathetic collectively on social media also, like how we are in real life. We don't go out saying anybody on the road, "Are tu randi hai," or "Are tu," you're wearing shorter clothes, so it's exciting me, or that's like whatever. So you don't do that in real life.
Yeah.
So draw that similar balance in your social life as well. Just because it gives you that privilege clearly does not mean that you can go on saying anything to anybody, which is also resulting in witch hunting, which is also resulting in
So true.
spewing vitriol literally to women, especially. I mean, oh my God. Um, Women are, I think, clearly most subjected to all of these atrocities and of all of these um, social media witch hunting, because uh,
Yeah.
there's like so much more on a woman for people to like point out, right? And again, goes back to conditioning and the social setup that we come from. So I think a much healthier way to deal cancel culture is, of course, take that pause. I think it's very important before you're just about to type out something, while you are overwhelmed with the content that you've just seen, or if it's bringing anger as an emotion to you. Just like literally pause and ask, would you do that in real life? This is how you cancel a person. I mean, I'm really sure half of the person who do that, like half the people who do that, won't have the same balls to do it in real life in front of a person.
100%. Yeah, yeah.
So, like, I think a much healthier way would be to like research, fact check on your own before you put out allegation. I think everybody's trying to be so woke on social media and Instagram particularly, that they want to be known as they know everything already. And what you have put forward is completely wrong because it does not match with their theory, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree with you and what you spoke with Miss Malini, because see, the thing is that everybody is looking out for that 2 minutes of fame,
Yeah.
right? Because somewhere or the other, because of this whole meme culture and people just blowing up out of proportion from nowhere, I guess people are now trying their level best to actually do something or the other which is outrageous and something completely out of proportion, so that they get noticed. Either you get noticed by the celebrity or the person that you are trying to hate upon, or you get noticed by some sort of a memer who can put you on their page and make you famous. And I see a lot of these meme pages which are actually doing this on a regular basis, huh? They don't care which uh, for me it's weird because in some posts they will look like Mahatmas, and on other posts they will actually look like slut shamming bastards, so that is really, I don't understand what's happening, especially with social media and this whole toxic state of cancel culture.
True, it just empowers. This is what, this is I think, it just empowers all of the keyboard warriors who are sitting behind their screens and with no fear of being called out. It just gives them more power to spread this armchair activism by being woke, because everybody on social media wants to be woke. And I think that's how this entire cancel culture stems out of, because everybody has an opinion. Everybody wants to put forward that opinion without even knowing, realizing, or factually being read about the whole thing that they're pointing out to. So, yeah.
So true. So true. And I don't understand what's wrong with this whole issue of boycotting movies. Why are you boycotting movies? And what's up with nepotism going on? I mean, nepotism is not something that popped up just yesterday. I mean, nepotism is everywhere in every industry.
True.
And like, especially when you point out to a star kid, okay, let's put it that way. Okay, you talk about a star kid and you accuse them of getting movies. Of course they will get movies because their father or someone in their family has done good work in the industry, so they will definitely get some sort of a favors. That happens in any industry. Like एक दुकानदार का बेटा ही आगे जाके दुकानदार बनता है. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Of course, and I really find it amusing when people pick out on nepotism, and I think this word particularly was, like really became viral as a word, nepotism. Like people really started using this, I think, like a couple of years ago, and I find it so amusing that why are people still stuck on nepotism as a word, because this is the most radical idea that has been going on for centuries, like not even now or forget yesterday, like our kings and queens, their ayahs or their sons would take away the kingdom, right? So this
So
has
true.
been going on and has been passed on to us for generations. So what is something new about it? Of course, if you are only if you are like somebody who's equally skilled, equally good and better, and you just get rejected because of a star kid, then yes, it's problematic. But that does not mean canceling out on the entire industry. That does not mean canceling out on the person who's acted and the one who's made the film.
So
um,
true.
I mean, like if you take the example of how badly Alia and Aditya Roy Kapoor were cancelled for Sadak 2. Of course, they were cancelled for another lot of reasons, which was due to the SSR case. But the amount of hatred that these two people got because of a movie, it's insane. And it's so amusing that people actually pick out on these things, and they will make it the most disliked video on YouTube.
That was funny,
That is
actually.
very amusing to me, and I really, like, sometimes I think, like, what are these people doing? This entire generation, like I said, of keyboard warriors who have the power of liking or disliking something, they use it as a power, and it is, oh my god, it's just beyond my understanding.
But I don't think so. It's gonna hurt anybody. See, at the end of the day, what's happening is, in fact, when Sadak 2 got really, disliked, and they got so many, so it became number one disliked video on YouTube. I guess it was who, Farah Khan, or who tweeted that, whatever you are doing, you are still making us trending on YouTube.
Yeah,
So
anybody, good publicity that they don't realize that. And it's not that
yeah.
because you as one individual person who sat on your computer and you liked or disliked something, and a collective also of you did that, it is not stopping Alia Bhatt from making more movies, getting more commercial deals, or representing the nation on a global level. It's not stopping her to do anything. So
So true.
you think you have the power, but you clearly do not have any power of what happens on a bigger scheme of things. So why are you even wasting your time and your burning your eyes on doing something so stupid?
Yeah, completely. Because, see, if you are fighting for the wrong cause, this is what I believe in. Like you said, if you are equally talented, let's talk about Bollywood for a couple of minutes. If you're really talented in the industry, everyone, you take any good actor in the industry, they will say that if you have the talent, if you have the charisma and the art of acting, nobody can stop you. Of course,
Hmm.
what the fight should be in the terms of that, as a star kid, or as being from the family, the family in the Bollywood, uh, you should not misuse your powers. This is what I believe in. You want to make 100 movies for your son, that's completely fine. I mean, Ritik Roshan has lived off his father for his entire career. That's completely fine.
Could not really get to the best of his ability, barring couple of movies. So is Akshay Khanna. Sorry, again, great acting. Great acting skills, but could not do it as well as his father. Or again, like, who else? I think who could not make it right. Abhishek.
See, Abhishek Bachchan is still a good actor, but he actually got compared to Amitabh Bachchan. That's what went wrong with him.
Yeah. But like a lot of these other kids, yeah, who are star kids but could not do that well.
There's so many. Fardeen Khan.
Athya Shetty, she could not. I mean, oh my god, she is like the daughter of a superstar, Sunil Shetty. She could not get it right, and that's completely okay. Also, does not, of course, mean that you're going to like go after her and tag her as a nepotism product and cancel her.
So true, so true. I mean, if you look at the top stars in Bollywood right now, they are you can count them in your fingertips,
Yeah.
right? Out of one more than 100 crores of population in India, you have handful of star kids.
Mhm.
Okay, and we cannot just simply say that nobody else can get work apart from these people.
Right.
So I guess that's a wrong notion. So that's why I say that we are fighting the wrong war. We are fighting for the wrong cause.
Yeah.
This is my take on this whole nepotism situation.
Yeah, clearly, and I definitely second with you, because this is not a fight that's leading anything. I mean, this will continue. Probably you're only a couple of years away till you see Temur grow up and be cast in Student of the Year 30th, I think. It's like only a couple of years away. So this is going to be a trend. No, it's not going to be a trend, because there's something super normal actually for somebody to do. So it's going to be the same. You rather invest your energy and your opinions and your comments and your critiques and your feedbacks to something which can possibly, like, help yourself and help the conversations around you to be a little more fruitful and productive.
Yeah, and what has also gone wrong with the cancel culture is that one day you will support an actor, from the bottom of your heart, you are willing to die for that person, and the next day suddenly you will cancel them in a way that you'll start, putting hate comments, you'll start putting up pictures, memes. I don't understand. This is a hypocritic state of affairs, especially in the netizens currently, especially on Twitter. Twitter has become a garbage place for discussions.
Yeah, it has. I was reading something very interesting, and I was
Hmm.
reading about it after I saw The Social Dilemma on Netflix. So they said that we as humans, we were not evolved to get validation or to receive hatred or judgment or disapproval of any form by people in thousands and lakhs. We were always meant to be socially in a circle with at max, like 50, 100, 150, or like maybe like 500 people listening to us at once, or we being
Yeah, small tribes.
small tribe, correct. But we were not evolved to be subject to that level of validation, and like it being an open ground for people to come and throw their opinions, their judgments and critiques so openly. So we're not built that way, and which is why if you see the trends, the cases of depression and anxiety have like suddenly skyrocketed so much because we were not meant for all of this. Our bodies are not evolved, our brains are not evolved to take all of this, um, you know, at length. So this is like completely abnormal for us. And we're not meant for all of this. This is way beyond how we were made as human beings.
So what's your take on this? Why do you feel more and more people are searching for validation on social media?
Ah, okay, very interesting. I think what happens is, we, like I said, we live in our own bubbles and our own communities, little communities of people. Okay.
Hmm.
So if I like have, for example, 3,000, 4,000 people on my Instagram, and if the, because the fact that you can quantify, I know that out of 3,000, 4,000 people, only 130 people have liked my picture. And again, we were not meant to be quantified in certain measures, or there's no yardstick of how good we are in real life, I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no yardstick to measure uh, my value with 130 likes in real life. But social media is this fabricated platform where validation becomes so important to me because I know because I can measure it by the amount of people who have liked me. And that thirst and hunger of, okay, today 130 people have liked, tomorrow it should be 150, 200, 300, that hunger keeps amplifying, because you also see other bubbles or other communities which will have people with more higher following, more higher engagement, and you would unintentionally, unknowingly, you start to compare yourself, and
Yeah.
which is very human, because comparison is a nature that comes to us very organically as human beings. We always tend to compare ourselves with somebody else who we look up to, or who we think is doing better, you know. So when all of that comes in a platform which is first superbly algorithm driven, um, it only shows you, what they want to show you.
Correct.
Um, so when it gets affected by an algorithm, when it gets affected by other people on that circuit, that's when it starts taking a toll on you, and you resort to that validation, and that's like your escape out of everything crazy in the world, because you go there constantly for validation. Or in my case, I mean, if I put up anything, now lately I've started, facing a lot of backlash. Why are your eyebrows not done? Why are your eyes so different? Why are your upper lips there? I said, and I'm, always like, can you get over the physical attributes of somebody? And can you, for once, listen to what they're trying to say? And this is just yesterday when I put up the story that I'm going to be talking to Sumukhi Suresh for my season 3. You won't believe the first message that I got was, "What's wrong with your eyebrows?" And I'm not even kidding. Like, this is literally the first message that I got. And it got me furious, but I couldn't do anything about it. I actually went back to the mirror to look, are my eyebrows like really that outstanding that somebody is taking more notice of it than what I'm saying?
Was it somebody whom you knew earlier or random person?
It will be very funny. It'll be this is one of my best friends from my childhood. Okay?
तो वो तो
And
मजे
I
ले
was
रहा होगा
about,
फिर.
nahi, because it has become a pattern. I mean, she's a really good friend, but it has become a pattern that everything I do, the first thing that they will always resort to is pointing out the physical attributes
Hmm.
of how I'm looking. And s- somewhere deeply it starts to affect me, that because these are the people who will give you the most truest of, like, they'll show you the mirror. Basically, they'll tell you what's right, what's not right. So because it came from a person like her who knew me, like, who knows me from so long, I was like, okay, if she's saying something, then it must be really like important. But like, really, are my eyebrows that important that it outweighs the message that I want to give?
See, the problem is that on Instagram, people are so accustomed to looking at girls who have gone under the knife thousands of times. Okay.
Hmm.
So and the problem is that this has everything has fed into this whole system of showing the perfect doll bodies, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Totally.
everybody is accustomed.
We are also to blame it. Listen, the okay, why do we use filters? Like, let's be honest. Why do I use filters sometimes? Like, if I have to be drop dead honest, because I want to look nicer, because I want to have that, oh, woke up like this filter, or glow skin filter, or foundation filter, or a filter which says airbrush. I mean, we
फाउंडेशन
use
फिल्टर
that.
भी होता है.
Yeah, yeah. There is a filter. There is a filter which basically cakes up your face and gives you that foundation finish. There's also a filter which is like a highlighter filter, which will give you like four highlights, and there are like a dozen of these filters. But why do you ये filter बने इसीलिए ना, क्योंकि हमें validation चाहिए. और अगर हम खुद अगर नहीं दिख रहे हैं वैसे, तो we make an external force which makes us look our desired choice. You know, it's like somebody telling you, oh, uh, you can look as fabulous as an Emma Watson, and you don't have to like go through your pimples or your acne or your, flawed skin. So yeah,
Yeah, it's all feeding up to this whole giant monster, which doesn't really come out of the closet. It's just there, and
yeah,
you are just looking at it. You are scared that the monster is there in the closet.
and you're succumbing to the monster. Like that's the worst.
So true, so true. I mean, yeah, this is a big problem, especially with social media, and this is the whole root of the problems. Where once we start, fantasizing and start giving importance to the analytics on social media, that's where you get deep inside the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's why if you are somebody who's listening to us, you're very smart. You're putting your time, you're investing your time in listening to something that might have certain value, where you might have learned something new, or where we might have contributed in your growth, or you might have understood something on a deeper level. Again, so which is why good. Like I think team podcast always.
No, 100%, 100%. Even I believe that, and you also won't believe that I have so many friends who actually are into this whole rabbit hole, and they always keep asking me, "Okay, boss, I got 100 likes yesterday, and today I posted a pic which was better than yesterday, but I got only 80 likes. What's happening?
Hmm.
What's going wrong?" Because I'm also a marketer, so they keep asking me, check out my analytics and help me figure out what's wrong. मैंने बोला, there's nothing wrong. It's it's just that it's a platform which you don't own, right? It's a platform
Ah,
which doesn't care about you. All they care about is themselves. And at the end of the day, they want you to spend money on putting up ads because your likes have gone down, your followers have gone down. So
yeah.
that's how they play around.
It's
And
a
people
business
don't.
at the end of the day. It's a free service to you, but it's, like they said, you are the product. So it's a
Yes.
free service. It's a free service to us, we might feel, but it's a business for them. So I'm sure they're doing the best of their abilities to run their business. And if it demotivates you and if it bogs you down, that's clearly not their problem. And especially right now with all the creators facing less engagement on their profiles, everybody. I mean, do you think Instagram is like really bothered about that? And I don't really know one more thing. Why is nobody talking about? Did you notice that the little change on your Instagram? They have replaced the search button, which was on the top next to the home thing,
Hmm.
and now they've taken it on top. और
Yep.
जहां पे पहले सर्च बटन होता था वहां पे रील्स हैं अभी.
Yep.
They are literally, they've cracked your psychology, they've cracked your patterns, and fucking they know that you will tap on that search button, but no, that's not a search button, that's reels. So now you're lost in the world of reels because you like look at one reel and then you keep scrolling. So, oh my
That's
god,
what they
this is
want.
what cancel culture, I'm sorry, we just took it to another level.
No, I guess this is part of the whole issue because at the end
Of
of the
course.
day, if you look at, this cancel culture is not just for celebrities. I mean, a very young TikTok star, she committed suicide, right? Because of
Right,
this whole
right, right,
issue back in June, I guess. Where it's hard for everyone. And with this whole issue of depression and anxiety on a rise and for millennials
right.
especially, and it's all happening because of this validation issue and cancel culture, because the moment you don't like your favorite creator on Instagram, you'll start hating on them.
True. Just for physical attributes, because like again, if you know this account called Art Whoring, Priyanka, um, yeah, wait, it's called Art Whoring by Priyanka.
Hmm.
She was recently cancelled out. Yeah, Art Whoring Priyanka Paul. She was recently cancelled out purely because of her physical attributes. One, and second because um they one second. Yeah, so purely because of her physical attributes and also because she comes from a certain caste. So she was literally outcast by people and I cannot even tell you the messages that she shared on her feed where people are calling her a whore or people are calling her, I mean, the meanest thing somebody can possibly call you that can literally demotivate you and bring you from where you actually started from. Like imagine after all the hard work, that's really demotivating to hear. But the
So true.
woman took it up with yeah, but the woman took it up like a badass bitch and with such boss energy. She like literally put all of these haters in the back bench, like literally, and she fought with so much, like she was really savage, I think, and I absolutely love the work that she does. So I think anybody who's listening right now, Art Horing is a great page to also learn a lot about Dalit lives right now because she's actively posting so much about it.
Yeah, because see, a lot of people are not on social media just to show off their skin. A lot of people are actually there to do some sort of a support movement, try to educate people, right? In fact, we are also on Instagram just to make sure that the kind of content we are putting out on our podcast is actually been able to distribute to a larger audience. That's the whole reason why we are on Instagram. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been there.
Right, right,
Why
right.
should I waste my energy on creating posts and trying to like and follow people when
Why
I
it's
can.
not even your platform,
So
because
true.
podcast is your platform, right? We're
100%.
not
And
Instagrammers or Instagram influencers or Instagram content creators. Yes, we are content creators, but our platform is podcasts. And we're not, yeah, we might choose to because, of course, like I said, um, it's very important as content creators also to be omnipresent and to be like literally your potential audience could be anywhere and they can just discover from you discover you from anywhere, so which is the sole existence the sole reason of existing on Instagram.
so true. And I keep telling people to our community on Socially Desi as well, that at the end of the day, if you want to create your personal brand, you need to have your own thing. Don't depend on Instagram, right? A lot of TikTokers who thought that TikTok would be here forever are trying to find space now on Instagram and some other platform.
Right,
And same thing happened with a lot of Snapchat celebrities.
right.
They had to figure out what to do next. So it's always important that people should understand, own your own thing. So like podcast, I own my own thing, right?
True.
I, of course, I have a hosting partner from where I'm hosting my podcast, but that does not make the hosting partner the owner of my podcast. So
Right.
the creativity, the podcast stays with me, the files are with me, everything is with me. I'm just distributing through that podcast. Similarly, for anybody who is using it, social media, don't lay all your eggs in one basket. You're gonna regret later on.
Hmm.
So that's the whole thing with social media. And yes, this cancel culture is actually coming out of this whole situation. This is the root,
Yeah,
and I guess this is one of the important topics of this
yeah,
episode, that we have to figure out the root, the cause root problem.
yeah, it all stems out from, like I said, from everybody having this urge to be super woke, super known about everything that's happening. They want to be these people with opinion, which is great, but um, having your opinions put forward in a way which can be constructive to somebody is way better than having a blind judgment, um, and passing it out by calling somebody cancelled. Shaming and trolling will not bring the real change. If that's your intention, to tell the creator that from next time onwards you should be mindful of this or you should have done this better. So I don't think shaming and trolling will bring the real change, but a healthy conversation or an open minded conversation or a feedback is what is required for us. And I think collectively, if we all become a little sensitive to the world that we are in right now, like such unprecedented times, it'll only be good for you and for the person who's on the receiving end, so that we understand what's the real problem.
Yeah, that's true. And talking about this blind judgments, what's your view on this whole Sushant Singh Rajput case?
First, it's a passe case. That's my first view. I think we have blown this out of proportion to an extent that it has affected so many lives, it has affected so many people. We have clearly forgotten much more important things at hand to discuss, to be shown to to the people of our country, than promoting a case which, I mean, I understand it's important that a celebrity has lost his life and a bunch of people, in fact, the entire nation, comes together to seek justice. But this fact cannot overshadow the fact that, what we are not showing on the news, which should actually be on prime time, because it's an issue that's affecting us now. The person who we are fighting for is no more, right? So it's not a rocket science to understand what's on priority right now. Plus, I think I won't really cite the facts that are known to everybody about who did the murder. Was it a suicide? Or, what is CBI doing? AIMS doctors have now said and confirmed that it was a suicide and not a murder. People are not ready to believe that Sushant was in depression, as if depression is some untouchable, or, it comes out as that. The understanding of depression among people is so shallow. It only proves that they consider it as a taboo. So a lot of these things are, of course, there. But one thing that I actually read today is that there were 80,000 fake accounts, or 80,000 accounts which were actually planted.
Mhm.
I don't know by who. I'm assuming it's by the government, because, again, I will tell you the bigger reason for this. But there were 80,000 accounts which were only planted to create this massive conversation on social media about his death and about seeking justice. And if you saw how people were like suddenly, populating all comments everywhere on YouTube, on Instagram, Twitter, just seeking justice for him, you thought these were real people. No, these were all implanted 80,000 of these accounts, which were probably trying to redirect us, the users, into this whole bubble that this is actually a murder, or this is a conspiracy, you know. So this is the news that came today, and I'm really shook by that news. But of course, I think it's a lot to do with the sad state of journalism. It's a lot to do with the sad state of current affairs in our country, where our prime minister can literally, um, I don't know, dude. I mean, what took 3 months for this thing to be solved? And uh, for them to know that it was a murder or a suicide. Like, I mean, everything in our country is exceptionally slow, but this is something that the entire nation was fighting for. And I personally think this was like a distraction from what's happening on a bigger level, because clearly this news of 80,000 fake accounts, then the way our prime minister just does not want to address anything, be it the PM Care Fund, be it his death. He has all the time to thank Virat and Anushka for the wishes on his birthday, but he does not have time to address to the bigger issues. So it's all a distraction from what's next that's going to happen to our country, to us. I think it's about time that we all wake up. I think we're all pretty smart as netizens to understand what's happening around us. Please do not succumb to fake news. Please do not be the agents of spreading fake news. Um, I think this SSR case has only taught all of us this, that, I think a lot of our journalism, like, of the way it was presented, of how drugs suddenly became more important than the farmers, or how, a woman. There was this very funny video that I saw by Z News where Sushant
Mhm.
and Riya both were consuming drugs, but the journalist was so funny. He said, "आप सुशांत को मत देखिए, हम ये वीडियो आपको दिखा रहे हैं क्योंकि रिया गांजा फूक रही है, तो हम ये आपको वीडियो रिया के लिए दिखा रहे हैं, सुशांत के लिए नहीं दिखा रहे हैं," जबकि वो भी, he was equally partaking in that, right? So it's so funny that how stupid our reporters think that we as countrymen, they think that we're so stupid to be fooled. And I'm not blaming him. We are. I think as a country of, like, as a nation of a 1.2 billion, are we 1.2 billion? 1 second.
Yeah, we're more than that, I guess.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to tell you is that, um, you know, we show us because we want to, we see all of that and we are getting fed by this information because we tend to believe that this is true without even questioning. So I think it's this entire case has, like, it has given so much perspective and so many other things that happening around us. And if you wanted me to answer about was it a murder or a suicide, then let the people who are in the job to do this, let them decide. And I think they've clearly said that this is a suicide, so let this be, and can we please focus on other things in our country?
So true. Yeah, I mean, because the case started off with a very different perception. And even, when initially it started off that they wanted to understand what's going on, and there were a lot of speculations around suicide or murder. So at that time, what I believed was, I mean, of course, before this whole news that has, by the way, which publication has reported this regarding the 85,000 fake accounts?
Yeah, this is on Times of India. Thousands of fake
Okay.
online accounts were created. Yeah. And again, Mumbai police identifies 80,000 fake accounts created to defame the force. Um, Even National Herald has this. Wow. Hindustan Times again. So, yeah, this is like a verified news for sure. And I'm not surprised. Honestly, I'm not surprised. This is how BJP will again win an election because this is the way to go about it. And there is a conspiracy theory about having so many people talking about one particular thing, as and setting an agenda and only propagating that agenda. So I'm not really surprised by this. It's just that, can we be more conscious, conscious as people of this country, and can we start addressing important things? And I think we are, like, we're really smart. It's just we're waiting for our journalists to also understand this.
No, I guess we are too dependent. I have a different take on this. I believe that even though as the citizens of our country we are smart enough to understand what's going on, but I guess we are still lazy to not stand up and do something about it. We want somebody else to do it for us. वो कहते हैं ना कि अपनी प्लेट में डला डलाया चाहिए सबको.
Right.
This is what is happening. So when we say that media should report this correctly, they should do this correctly, I think that is a part of being lazy. I mean, if the media is doing it wrong, then you should do it the right way. I mean, that when you have to go and slut sham anybody on social media, तब तो आप नहीं कहते कि जाके जो है अर्नब गोस्वामी को बोलो बोलने के लिए. Nobody
Hmm.
does that, right? So you go on the social media page and you write about it, you put your heart out. Na, the same way you could do it when it comes to raising your voice for what's right and what's wrong. But I guess, yeah, people uh, have not yet realized that they could use this cancel culture wala thing to a better cause instead of just pointing and canceling people for the heck of it. And this whole case started with a very different vision, turned out to be a fight between two ladies, and then it went to a different direction of drugs. I'm fine with it. You want to crack down the drug mafia, then you crack it down to the T. Then you go in the roots and you find out who are the real kingpins of this whole trade. Because just trying to catch hold of somebody who's consuming will not help. वो करो. I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to make a example out of it, do that. But then you then go all the way, na. Then you make a separate case for this. You go all the way. You pin down the roots of this problem, and then you cure it. But then what is happening is, under the disguise of the whole case, some other things are happening. People are wasting their time. And like you rightly said, CBI is here, the courts are here, medical institutions are here. They are the ones who will give you the right information and the correct information and the judgment, right?
Hmm.
So you don't have to be the prosecutor, you don't have to be the defendant, right? Focus on what's right. The farmers, right? There was a Kaziranga ka pura flood tha. Nobody spoke about that,
Yeah.
right? Northeast, mein there were so many issues. Nobody spoke about that.
Social media has suddenly become the court of justice, and everybody thinks, that they are their respective lawyers representing Sushant uh, from their own little community and their own little Instagram bubble. But it's
Are
unfortunate.
you imagine the situation where foreigners are taking advantage of our stupidness. There was this YouTube channel, what, Huff Paranormal or something.
Yeah. Oh
He
my
made a
God.
fool.
I saw that and I was so scared. Okay, I'm not a horror person one bit, but I was really intrigued to see the stupidness. So I went ahead and I tuned into that thing, like I saw it. And oh my God, I was so scared after watching this, but I was so, it made me so, like it, I was literally laughing while I was being scared because I was alone in the house. But I was like, wow, like people have literally made it to their advantage with millions of views, comments. And then, of course, our government also made it to their advantage with the whole Bihar campaign.
Garima, you won't believe that person is literally using guitar gears. Okay, he's using guitar pedals, he's using amplifiers, okay, which are simply musical instruments which have been painted and redesigned in a different way. And he's calling it a supernatural communicator. And
Hmm.
he's making a mockery out of our citizens, and people are actually believing it. And he made around 4 to 5 episodes, and you won't believe those are all five of those videos are his most watched videos. He must have earned thousands of dollars out of this. People
So
are making money out of our stupidness, and this is what is
bad.
happening.
No, but apparently, I think the first video that I saw, he said that a lot of Indians have requested him to do this, particularly for Sushant.
My foot.
So this is us. This is us, guys. This is us.
Seriously. So I mean, yeah. Before you're wrapping up the episode, Garima, what do you think is the way forward for us, for the millennials, to get rid of this whole state of toxic cancel culture?
Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all of these places were meant to be a place of community building, of seeing what people are doing, your friends are doing, of learning from them wherever in the country, wherever in the world they are actually. And it's suddenly become, and it's lost all its relevance and it's minuscule to this very shallow idea of pulling creators down, and this inherent comparison that comes in, which is very human. But when you pile it up with the amount of anger and hate, and when you start slut shaming people, it's not cool. So I think be very, very mindful. And this is not some gyan, or I'm not like trying to preach you out here. But this is, like I said, you have a real life and you do not do things that you do in your real life versus or vis-a-vis the things that you do on social media. Clearly, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I've been talking to this person lately. She's called Krantikari on Instagram, I think, Moose Jattana. And Moose has been getting a lot of these obscene messages.
Hmm.
You know, oh, apne chooche dikha, or, you know, teri fuddi, and, you know, all of these super obscene messages. And I won't even have the guts to say anything like this to anybody in real life. I'm sure that man too. I mean, he would be shitting his pants in front of a woman otherwise, but he has the balls to do it right now. So please, please understand and question yourself कि क्या मैं रियल लाइफ में ऐसा कुछ करता, या क्या एक औरत जा रही होती तो मैं उसको ऐसे बोलता, या क्या अगर you know, if I would have gotten a one-on-one with a celebrity, or if I would have been attending there, would I have been shouting, defaming him? You wouldn't, right? You would choose not to go to the place where that celebrity is, or you wouldn't want to partake um, in a conversation or a dialogue where your favorite celebrity is not there, or if you dislike somebody, तुम जाते ही नहीं ना वहां पे. बेसिक है ना, मतलब अगर
True.
अगर कोई कॉन्सर्ट है और उसमें कोई सिंगर है वो तुम्हें नहीं पसंद है तो तुम नहीं जाओगे वहां पे. सिंपल. तो तुम फिर इंस्टाग्राम पे क्यों उसके नीचे, just because it's accessible, you want to misuse it, and you really want to like put down that comment, which will of course demotivate the creator and will create that community of hatred. So tum just ask yourself, if I would have been in my real life vis-a-vis my social life, would I have done that? No, nobody does that. I think all of us are human enough to do it. It's just the algorithms. No, fuck the algorithm. I think people have really taken the advantage of being a certain way on social media, and that satiates their soul because they just get cheap thrills out of it.
Yeah, that's so true. With that, Garima, thank you very much for being on the show. And everyone listening out there, go check out Popcast with Garima on all the listening platforms of podcast, wherever you want to listen, on Hubhopper, on iTunes, on Spotify. She's available everywhere. So thank you very much, Garima. Thank you for coming on the show today.
It was so much fun. I think we had like such a deep discussion. And if you guys who are listening, if you have made it until the end of this episode, thank you. As Anurag said, you can check Popcast on all the streaming platforms. And thanks, Anurag, for having me over. I think this was really long due of both of us chatting. I will obviously catch up with you post this formal recording, and we will talk a lot more about podcasts. And you have to teach me editing. So yeah.
Will do. And we'll have a pop list soon on Garima's episode also.
Yay.
Perfect. So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you liked the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Garima on our show again in the future to discuss more about our Indian society and podcasting in general. So, if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.